Welcome to Sexy Boss Interviews with Heather Havenwood, www.sexybossinc.com.
Hi, this is Heather Havenwood, Sexy Boss Inc., founder of Sexy Boss Inc., and our first Sexy Boss interview by Ariane May. Did I say that right?
Ariane.
Ariane May. Ariane May. Okay. Now, I apologize, Ariane May, and anyone's listening that I'm from Texas and she's from Australia, so, that's to start from the beginning right there. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to what I would call an amazing sexy boss. Ariane May is the founder and CEO of By Ariane, an online business she has created to serve the needs of executive women and entrepreneurs who appreciate style and elegance in clothing and accessories. A designer, a collaborator, an importer, and above all, a marketer. She has spent her career in corporate Australia, the majority of her time in senior management sales positions. Now, since 2002, Ariane has worked for Barrington Group Australia, a diverse organization specializing in corporate risk, security investigations, and accredited training programs. And in her role as national sales and marketing manager, she had responsibilities for the sales and marketing teams across groups of 5 divisions while maintaining the relationships with Barrington's key clients. Now, in 2010, Ariane changed her role after the birth of her baby, but continues to contract to Barrington in part-time capacity. She's a graduate from the University of New South Wales. She studied commerce, majoring in marketing. Now, Ariane's career highlights include being awarded the National Training Leads Platinum Award in 2007 for services to the development of the tourism hospitality industry and trained to the nation. That's a lot to say. But more importantly, in 2009, Ariane created local history when she became only the 5th Australian woman to ever attain the coveted Certified Protection Professional designation by ASIS International. Regarded as the international benchmark for security excellence, it requires an in-depth knowledge of all facets of security management, from emergency management, investigations, physical security, electronics, and IT security. I would say you're one sexy boss. But you are also a single mom to her gorgeous 2-year-old Aiden, who says as the catalyst for establishing for BuyAriane.com. We welcome Ariane from her home in Sydney, Australia.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Welcome.
Lovely to be here with you.
You have a very impressive background and resume, and I'm going to go deeper into the conversation today, get a little bit more about you and what you're up to. But let's go with your background. We heard about your career and introduction, but what made you go into sales in the beginning?
I guess, I was trained in marketing, but I discovered early on that I had a natural flair or an interest for sales, and particularly loved the thrill and the victory of cold calling, which I know is quite strange, but the opportunity to meet and speak to someone for the first time and really listen to them, work with them to discover their needs and then tailor a unique solution for them remains enormously satisfying for me. And then beyond that, being able to establish a long-term connection, I find particularly rewarding. And I've been really lucky. The companies that I've worked for have allowed me the flexibility to create these tailor-made solutions. And the same flows through to what I'm doing with By Ariane, because I have a lot of custom products either currently there or on the drawing plans, shall we say.
Well, I find it fascinating is that you started in marketing, you were trained in marketing, you went into sales, cold calling sales of all things, and then you have this amazing distinction, CPP. Again, that's a Certified Protection Professional, and many people on the call don't know what that is, but I find fascinating. It's the 5th Australian woman ever to attain this. So how did you go from marketing girl, sales girl, doing cold calling to a CPP designation, and what is that?
Well, the bulk of my career has been in security-related industries. Barrington's itself is, as you heard from the introduction, heavily involved in investigations and security. And it seems the CPP certification is run from ASIS International. They are the preeminent security association in the world, and they're out of the States. And 35 years ago, they developed programs, certification programs, with the objective being evidence of expertise and experience in security management. Their primary course is the CPP. So for me to grow in my business with Barrington's and to help provide added value to the clients that I was servicing, I felt going forward with the additional study and the CPP qualification was very important from servicing Barrington's clients. Beyond that, looking at, with that accreditation, because it is such a leveler, my CPP now allows me to tap into a global network of security experts for advice, for information about projects I might be working on, and some of which I will ultimately introduce to my Ariane community. But it is an achievement I'm really proud of. It's particularly hard to earn. And Heather, you'll be amazed at the sheer amount of specific security information you have to know, from the different types of bombs to security fencing, needs to be this, to perimeter lighting and disaster recovery plans and so forth. And
you could be like a James Bond.
A female James Bond.
A bi Ariane James Bond. Right. That's great. But that to me is hot. And that's a very sexy boss. Like, you probably, that is a probably distinction that a lot of men are part of. And when I think of security, when I think of anything like that, it's a very heavily dominated male industry, just mainly because of the quality of the work, the electronics, investigations, IT just generally is heavy male. So I find it fascinating that you went into that industry, and you not only went into it, but you are very successful in it, and you have the highest accreditation. So that's pretty powerful.
I still remember the first day I turned up to class. I have to share this with you.
Sure, yes, please.
Funny. And I know all the boys, and it is very male dominated. There's only two women who turn, myself and another lady who are present at the security meetings that we attend. It's that biggest a variation. And I know all the boys were thinking, who is this blonde and what is she doing here? And we sat exams every week, and for the first 2 weeks I came dead last. But by the end of the course and in the actual exam, I topped the class, and I was always going to. But in that, I earned the respect of all of my male peers in the process, and it's just, been a launching pad for great things within the industry. So
I'm very humble about it. You're very humble about it. I think you're amazing. You're a hot, sexy boss.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And I've experienced something that's similar in nature. It's like, and you proved yourself by doing the work, and I honor that. So tell us more about your new site, byariane.com, and how did you get the idea? How did that come about?
Okay. Well, my vision for Ariane was I really wanted to create a blissful place to shop for women executives and entrepreneurs seeking luxurious goods. By that, I mean ready-to-wear and bespoke fashion, beautiful laptop bags, image programs, business accessories, and the like. So things that are critical to all of us corporate women out there. And I personally am passionately dedicated to helping businesswomen create powerful first impressions and command respect through clever style choices and timeless design. That's my stated mission. I launched my site on the 4th of July 2012, which I consider to be my financial independence day.
I love that.
And I could have opened it on the 2nd or the 5th, but I chose the 4th for its significance.
Yeah, but what I find fascinating is, July 4th, 2012, which is the United States of Independence Day, and, in Australia. I just love that story, because people in the United States, we forget that it's really a U.S. holiday. And
it is.
Yeah, so thank you from all the United States. Thank you, and we welcome you to be independent too. So.
Oh, and it did have significance, and it does have significance for me. So, yeah. And I guess for Ariane, when looking for for items and continue to look for items. I chose key designers who I believe to be the most talented in their field, and there is something for everyone, and the range is going to continue to grow. But you asked, Heather, how did the idea for By Ariane come about? I guess with my sales background and nearly 20 years of corporate experience, I understand how important it is to look well presented and polished, and that the impact that your appearance has on your perceived credibility. It really is integral to maximising your reach without distraction, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're judged, fairly or not, we're judged in the first 4 seconds of meeting someone. And this is particularly important to consider for any of us women in customer-facing roles or in the media, or who present to an audience. Perhaps they're, called on to make presentations regularly. And our first point of contact is critical. So I wanted to streamline the shopping process for busy corporate women. We're all too flat out juggling family, home, business and everything else that goes along with it to be strolling the shops looking for appropriate items. So I wanted to create no-risk choices that are all there whilst ensuring that they can command that attention and instant respect by being impeccably groomed and perfectly dressed.
I love that. So that's how it was. That was from the idea, is that you wanted to create a site. I find it. I'm looking at your path, right? And you went from cold calling, marketing, sales to be able to design a bomb. But CPP certified. That's extremely high. Like I said, we talked about earlier, electronics, IT security, to back, a whole nother world of marketing and customer luxury, helping women, empowering women. I just find that fascinating. So what prompted you? What was the instigator or trigger that prompted you to become an entrepreneur?
Well, that's an easy one. And that's my son, and he's my world and my inspiration, and he's got the chubbiest of cheeks, which if you'll see a photo of him, you'll see what I mean, and he's just absolutely gorgeous, and he really was the catalyst behind my new journey, because particularly after everything I went to finally have my beautiful baby, I simply didn't want to be packing up every morning and walking out the door and leaving behind. So I sought out my passion and followed my dreams and went into business for myself so that I could have more time with him and help raise him.
And I hear him in the background.
Oh,
not loudly. Yeah. It's okay. He's talking. It's great. It's perfect. So tell us a little more. There's more story behind that. What all did you go through with that process? Okay. Well, say what you want to say. It's a very inspiring story. So whatever you feel comfortable saying.
Okay. Well, I was married for 10 years, and at the age of 38, I found myself at a crossroads. I was married to a man who was 17 years my senior, and he already had 2 adult children. And although we discussed it, he really didn't want any more. And for years, I internalized my desires and pushed my feelings to the side. But after, my body started to tell me that something was wrong and I was getting sick, and sought out help and emotional therapy, I finally realised that I wasn't living the life that I truly wanted, and that life included being a mum. So since that wasn't a possibility in my marriage, I had to make the break. Now, I was 38 at the time, and I'm sure there are other women out there on this call who have been through divorce, and you know how incredibly painful and emotional a time it is. Mm-hmm. But in saying that, it was also the most enlightening, or one of the most enlightening periods of my life, and when I experienced the most personal growth. Because of the personal work that I did, I worked with professionals for a while, and the time that I invested in my healing process gave me the incredible clarity and self-belief. And what was really important was my urge to have a child. So fast approaching 40, and still single, and I didn't know if I'd find anyone else to share my dreams with, I decided to find a donor and undergo IVF on my own. And without a doubt, it was the best decision of my life. So I started IVF in November 2009, was pregnant by mid-December the same year, and Aiden was born in August 2010, 10 days before I turned 41. So
wow,
that's my story. And
2 years later, your company started, your entrepreneurial company started, correct?
Yes. So during the process with going, Aiden as a newborn, that's when I was setting up the company. So I still had to, because I didn't have anyone else to fall back on, I still needed to maintain in a part-time capacity my role with Harrington's, whilst with their full blessing and awareness, I set up my own business. So now I'm looking to move forward just fully with Ariane.
Well, you bring up something that I think all women can understand, which is called multiple roles and doing multiple things and multitasking. And here you are not only having a baby, but having a baby by yourself and making sure you have income, following that, and stepping out and choosing to be a single mom, and then creating in the background a new company to further expand that. I mean, that to me is the ideal sexy boss. You are doing something for yourself because you choose to, and you started to create the entire path to go along with that. And here you are now, 2 years afterwards, a beautiful baby in the background, and he's back there. I hear him. It's great. It's beautiful. And now you are creating your future in your life. And I just find that fascinating. So definitely acknowledge you for what you've done. And your site is beautiful. Just to make sure people go to it's www.byariane.com on the call. Just make sure you know that. You did have an article, a company that came out and actually did an article about this. What was the name of the publication?
It was Prevention, which is a national magazine here in Australia. I think you also have Prevention in the US, yes.
Mm-hmm. And they did a beautiful full spread of you and your beautiful one. He is just amazing. Now, hopefully there are going to be some pictures on here on the side, but there's just a picture of him smiling really big with the guitar and you looking at him, and it's just a beautiful picture.
We had so much fun that day, Heather. We took I didn't know how he'd react to a big photo shoot, but we took his little guitar, which was a favourite present, and a Wiggles CD. If you've heard of the Wiggles, they're Australian legends, and he just rocked on for 45 minutes and led the entire crew in a dance. It was hilarious. So, who knows, far in the making perhaps.
That's great. That's great. That's really fun. Well, that's what beautiful kids are all about. I mean, so here's what's next for you. I mean, you've developed this great company, you've transitioned, you've made the jump, you've made the leap. Now, now it's about creating what you want. And so what is next? Where are you headed?
I've got a lot of projects on the go. Paramount is I'm searching the globe for more quality designers and suppliers for each category on the By Ariane site. So, Heather, if you've got any of your members design products for executive women, clothing, accessories, business tools, please, I would love to hear from them. Please pass on my contact details and get them to
Yes, and if you are listening to this and you do that, please email. You can either go to her site and contact her directly, or you can email us at help@sexybossinc.com. But I would say just go direct to you. So you're looking for women. Do they have to already be established, or is it maybe a woman that has wants to create a luxury line, or has created a luxury line to talk to you, or do you want someone that already has an established line?
I'm happy for either. Obviously, if they've got an established line, then that is a quicker process. But I would love to work with someone from the ground up and help launch their business if I can be a part of that. So that would be particularly exciting for me. So yes, please contact me if you're new to the space.
That's one thing that I've learned along the way in my 12 years of entrepreneurship, that you can get there a lot faster in partnership. And, so I encourage that. Sometimes you have a big piece of the puzzle. You have the marketing, you have the sales, you already have the platform, you already have some distribution channels. So, someone who's just on the call, who's just a designer, that's just what they do. They just design. I mean, beautiful, beautiful things. There could be some collaboration, and I encourage that. So because that's a lesson I've learned, is partnership and partnering with other people that are my opposites. I have a strength, that people have a strength, and partnering up. What are some lessons that you have learned along the way in your massive transition from corporate America into a small home-based entrepreneurial business?
From corporate Australia?
Yes. Sorry. Did I say? What did I say?
I'm on corporate America. I'm on the other.
Corporate America. I apologize. So corporate Australia, America. Apologize. Yes.
No problem. I guess one of the The things I'd really like to speak about is to be very, if you're starting out as a small business or you're starting out in your business operation, be very, very careful of the people that you choose to work with. In my rush to get to market, I took some shortcuts along the way and took faith in people who had, I thought there was a mutual friend involved. They put us together, and I didn't thoroughly vet the people that I was working with. And I was personally hit hard by two fraudsters. So one I've recently taken through the courts here in Australia, and the other was a woman from the US who was producing products for me. And if I've got a background in security and I can be bitten by this, then of course anyone can be. So please just get your contracts in place. Don't ever give money out to, people who are unproven. Get referrals where possible, and just be prepared for your journey to take a little bit longer if need be. But at least if it's going in the right direction, that's a good way forward, because it's not just the financial loss that I suffered, but it was also the mental drain and the time that it consumes, and time that you could otherwise be spending on productive tasks to grow my business. I was all consumed with that. So that would be one of my key lessons.
It is a great lesson. I think that in my experience and many people's experience, when they go from a large corporation or even a small, a medium-sized business, most of them have some kind of legal, or they have processes or most teams, people that most people aren't going to, what I call, steal from them or bite them per se, unless they want to get bit back. And as a small business owner, I personally have been bitten, and most small business owners don't have, a lawyer on retainer or something like that. So I agree. That's one of the top lessons I learned in my journey too, is to protect yourself from the beginning. And to sometimes what that means is you have to say no, and I want to get this in writing. Yes. Oh, yes, I trust you, and I need to get this in writing. Oh, I know, it's all about trust, and I still need to get this in writing. So I completely concur with you. That's something I think a lot of people go through. So let me ask you a question. While we're waiting for the implementation of your next phase, we talked about the community. Can we connect with you on Facebook? Where can we connect with you? You didn't talk more. You wanted to talk about the community. What did you want to talk about with the community? What you're creating? Because you have luxury items, but you and I talked about offline a little bit that you wanted to create a community. And so we want you to talk a little bit more about that and how people can contact you.
Well, it's the next phase to Buy Ariane, phase 2 of my Buy Ariane website. So the first part was the e-commerce side and getting it up and established and all that involves. But then growing that into an exclusive community for businesswomen who care about success, about productivity, about fashion, and about looking good while they're doing it. And our members will, once they become a member, they're just a simple matter of opting in, we'll receive relevant tips and information, plus daily deals from our suppliers. And that's in the process of being set up now. And I'm really excited about where that's going. And yes, we've got Facebook set up. So if you want to connect with us in the meantime, by all means, please go onto our Facebook address. There's a www.facebook.com/buyariane.com.au. We'll get straight through to our Facebook page.
Now, why did you name it Buy Ariane, other than your name? But why that?
Oh, naming your business is one of the hardest things. I spend a lot of time and going through various, ideas and concepts. And I kept coming back, well, everything that I want to put out there to the market is something that I want to have personally researched, know that it's a quality product, know that it's, I effectively certify it based on, what I would use. So it was a natural flow on that the site would then be Buy Ariane. So these are the sort of things that Buy Ariane would go out and choose. And hopefully once I earn the trust and respect of, my women members, that they will then have faith in me and my choices, I guess, go from there. Definitely. Plus there's other aspects to it. So I've got bespoke by Ariane. I'll have health by Ariane. So it's scalable for other things that I've got in the pipeline. There'll be a security type area by Ariane.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That's great. I didn't even think about that. That's great. So you're going to expand beyond just luxury items. That's great. Oh, I love that. Well, congratulations. And that was something that we didn't talk about earlier, so I just kind of sprung that on you. Well, thank you for your time today. Is there anything else that you want to share or say as a role model to other women and empower them as being a sexy boss in their life?
I guess what I've learned from my transition from employee to entrepreneur is that success usually does not come easily. And my business took, and as impatient as I am, as much time as I invest in it, my business has taken 2 years in the making to get where I am today. And I've still got a long way to go before I can, pull up the stops and go and live in Tahiti for 6 months at a time. But if you really believe in your idea and you are prepared to put in the hard yards, just go for it and don't give up. Surround yourself with good people. Find a mentor or mentors who can help keep you focused along the way. Get yourself communities like Sexy Boss, like by Ariane, where like women are talking about issues of relevance and importance to you and help keep you guided. And just believe in your own capabilities. Bugger the boys and their egos. Us women are pretty powerful and amazing. And you may get a few battle scars along the way, but that's okay. And, in the early days for me, a good day was one where I took more steps forward than back.
That's true.
Just keep moving forward.
No, I love that. Keep moving forward. And I find, in fact, you are our first Sexy Boss interview before even the site's live. So if you're listening to this now, the site is live. One thing that I love that you are the first woman is that you're an Australian. Now, why is that important to me? Is because one of the things that I wanted to create was a community of women global, like a global community. That's important to me. That international, all over. There's women all over the world. Australia, New Zealand, obviously Singapore, Asia, that I want to reach to, that I feel that are Sexy Boss. Italy, so that's a big key for me and big piece of it to be a global organization, international. So I love it that you are an Australian. I'm in Texas, of all places, for my very first Sexy Boss interview. So thank you for your trust and thank you for your time. And you are one Sexy Boss.
You have been listening to Sexy Boss Interviews with Heather Havenwood, Chief Sexy Boss. Go to www.sexybossinc.com for more information and education to empower you to be a smart, sexy, and rich sexy boss.